This article will be studied during the week of February 28th through March 6th. Take refuge in the name of Jehovah. Theme text: I shall certainly let remain a people humble and lowly, and they will actually take refuge in the name of Jehovah. Zephaniah 3:12. Paragraphs 1 and 2. Question: what figurative storm will soon strike mankind? Have you ever had to take refuge from a rainstorm or a hailstorm by seeking cover under a bridge? A bridge might well offer you adequate shelter from a rainstorm or a hailstorm, but it would probably provide little protection from a tornado or a hurricane. A different type of storm is approaching, one that threatens the very existence of the human race. It is a figurative day of storm. This great day of Jehovah will affect all mankind. However, we can find the refuge we need. How can we do so during the day of Jehovah's fury that is soon to begin? Zephaniah 1:14-18 reads, The great day of Jehovah is near. It is near, and there is a hurrying of it very much. The sound of the day of Jehovah is bitter. There a mighty man is letting out a cry. That day is a day of fury, a day of distress and of anguish, a day of storm and of desolation, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick gloom, a day of horn and of alarm signal against the fortified cities and against the high corner towers. And I will cause distress to mankind, and they will certainly walk like blind men, because it is against Jehovah that they have sinned. And their blood will actually be poured out like dust, and their bowels like the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to deliver them in the day of Jehovah's fury. But by the fire of his zeal, the whole earth will be devoured, because he will make an extermination, indeed a terrible one, of all the inhabitants of the earth. Days of storm in Bible times. Paragraph 3. Question: what thunderous storm came upon the 10-tribe kingdom of Israel? The day of Jehovah will break out with the destruction of all false religious systems on earth. As to how to find refuge, we can look for the answer in the history of God's ancient people. Isaiah, who lived in the 8th century BCE, likened Jehovah's judgment on the apostate 10-tribe kingdom of Israel to a thunderous storm that people would not be able to prevent. Isaiah 28:1 and 2 read, Woe to the eminent crown of the drunkards of Ephraim, and the fading blossom of its decoration of beauty that is upon the head of the fertile valley of those overpowered by wine. Look, Jehovah has someone strong and vigorous, like a thunderous storm of hail, a destructive storm, like a thunderous storm of powerful flooding waters. He will certainly do a casting down to the earth with force. That prophecy found fulfillment in 740 BCE, when Assyria invaded the land of those tribes, Ephraim being the most prominent of the 10. Paragraph 4. Question: how did a great day of Jehovah strike Jerusalem in 607 BCE? The judgment against unfaithful Israel was followed in 607 BCE by a great day of Jehovah against Jerusalem and the kingdom of Judah. That event occurred because the people of Judah had also turned apostate. The Babylonians under Nebuchadnezzar threatened Judah and its capital Jerusalem. The Judeans had turned for help to the refuge of a lie, that is, to their political alliance with Egypt. Isaiah 28:14 and 17. Nevertheless, like a destructive hailstorm, the Babylonians swept away that refuge. Paragraph 5. Question: how will God's people as a group fare during the destruction of all false religion? The great day of Jehovah that struck Jerusalem was an indication of the judgment to come upon apostate Christendom in our time. Furthermore, the rest of Babylon the Great, the world empire of false religion, will be destroyed. Revelation 18:2 and 8. Thereafter, the remaining parts of Satan's wicked system of things will be annihilated. Yet, God's people as a group will survive because they are taking refuge in Jehovah. Spiritual and physical refuge. Paragraph 6. Question. How can Jehovah's people find refuge? How can God's people find refuge even now during this time of the end? We find spiritual refuge by prayerfully thinking upon God's name and by serving Him zealously. Malachi 3:16-18 reads, At that time those in fear of Jehovah spoke with one another, each one with his companion, and Jehovah kept paying attention and listening. And a book of remembrance began to be written up before him for those in fear of Jehovah and for those thinking upon his name. And they will certainly become mine, Jehovah of armies has said, at the day when I am producing a special property. And I will show compassion upon them, just as a man shows compassion upon his son who is serving him. And you people will again certainly see the distinction between a righteous one and a wicked one, between one serving God and one who has not served him. We can appreciate, though, that we need to do more than just think upon his name. We read, Everyone who calls on the name of Jehovah will be saved. Romans 10:13. There is a connection between calling on Jehovah's name and the resulting salvation by him. And many honest-hearted people can see the difference between true Christians who are reverently thinking upon his name and serving as his witnesses, and those of mankind who are not serving him. Paragraphs 7 and 8. Question. In what way did first-century Christians experience physical salvation, with what parallel today? Still, the salvation available to us is not limited to finding spiritual refuge. Physical salvation is promised for God's people. We see indication of this in what happened in 66 CE after a Roman army under Cestius Gallus attacked Jerusalem. Jesus had foretold that the days of that tribulation would be cut short. That happened when the Roman forces unexpectedly abandoned the siege of the city, which allowed some flesh, namely true Christians, to be saved. They were able to flee the city and the surrounding area. Some crossed the Jordan and found refuge in the mountains on the eastern side of that river. We can draw a parallel between those Christians and God's people today. In the past, first-century Christians sought refuge, and God's servants today will do likewise. However, this time it will not involve an actual flight to a single geographic spot, for true Christians are located all around the globe. Still, as a people, the chosen ones and their loyal companions will physically survive the end of apostate Christendom by taking refuge in Jehovah and his mountain-like organization. Paragraph 9. Question. Who have tried to cause Jehovah's name to be forgotten? Give an example. On the other hand, Christendom deserves the coming destruction for contributing to the spiritual illiteracy common among churchgoers and for its manifest hatred of God's name. In the Middle Ages, God's personal name was rather widely known in Europe. That name, represented by 4 Hebrew letters called the Tetragrammaton and commonly transliterated YHWH or JHVH, appeared on coins, on facades of houses, in many books and Bibles, and even in some Catholic and Protestant churches. However, the trend in recent times is to eliminate the name of God from Bible translations and from other uses. One indication of this is the letter to the bishops' conferences on the name of God, dated June 29, 2008, issued by the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments. In it, the Roman Catholic Church advised that the Tetragrammaton in its various renderings should be replaced by Lord. The Vatican instructed that God's personal name should not be used or pronounced in hymns and prayers during Catholic religious services. And the leaders of other religions inside and outside of Christendom have also hidden the identity of the true God from millions upon millions of worshippers. Protection for those sanctifying God's name. Paragraph 10. Question. How is God's name being honored today? In stark contrast with what other religions are doing, Jehovah's Witnesses honor and glorify the divine name. They sanctify it by using it in a dignified way. Jehovah takes pleasure in those who trust in him, and he becomes whatever is necessary to bless and protect his people. He is cognizant of those seeking refuge in him. Nahum 1:7. Paragraphs 11 and 12. Question: Who upheld Jehovah's name in ancient Judah, and who have done so in modern times? Although the majority in ancient Judah had become apostate, there were some who took refuge in the name of Jehovah. Zephaniah 3:12 and 13 read,